Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Humanity. Again today, the topic our discussion is about health. Health. While we are looking at the 11th centuries, in which we saw that sadism was kind of propagated as a foundation of what do they call our way of life. In that, so many things happened, whereby we saw that some of the articles within the conjectured beliefs were articles which are the psychological mutilation of others, as well as the physical mutilation of others. However, we are going to look at the psychological mutilation of others. In the psychological mutilation of others, under the the conjectured way of life, which is, the conjectured belief, is that under the psychological mutilation of others, they are what we call, this is where you come in close contact with the acts of terrorism. Terrorism against the environment, terrorism against human beings, and terrorism against anything that has life in it. And some of these things some of these acts of terrorism are so open that you would see a man chopping a tree in a very dry land. We in our whatever we take those acts as acts of terrorism against the environment. So you go, you take your time, you go out there, you plant a tree, and out of nowhere, someone comes and he cuts off, he breaks off the whatever that is growing on the plant. Well, as these plants, when you plant a tree, it has many benefits. It is a part of the medicine that human beings consume. It's a part of the fruits that it produces the fruits that man can eat. It can also, if a tree grew, men would kind of use it as a door to their when they build a house. And so many, there are so many countless benefits that one gets from a tree. So over the last 11 centuries, because men lost the way to survive on this planet, and they conjectured their way. In that way, there are men who made what you call products that are very hazards to the environment. A few days ago, I was walking to a certain place, and I went along, because I always ride on my bike, I never drive. As I was riding on my bike, I came across this bit of a section of the road, whereby on the other side it looks as if people have plowed their gardens and everything. But there was what we call a gull, or something that takes water. Something that is built on the sides of the road that carries water. In that, there was a lot of bags, polythene bags, you name it, plastic bags. If it was, for instance, rain, it wouldn't allow any water to go anywhere. The water to move freely within the whatever that has been built to carry water. So I was amazed. I said, let me take my camera out and record this so that I can send it to the rest of our community around the world to be able to understand that within the past 11 centuries, the damage that has been done, it has been done on human beings through what we saw as genocide and this and that. Then there is what we call damage against the environment. In that 11th centuries, men developed weapons which they would go and taste on the environment that they gather what to eat from. You people in whatever in the 21st century, it's sadly broadcasted that we are going to have to test a nuclear warhead somewhere. They used to call it underground nuclear tastes. So they will test that either on the ocean or open ocean or a forest, whatever. That these days, I think that those news do not kind of make any headlines, or it's something that has been realized as a shameful act to test a nuclear warhead on the land and or in the water. Because the repercussion is that Mother Nature is saying, hey, creations of human beings, would you benefit from if you test a nuclear warhead? What you call an underground nuclear test. What do you get? Trillions of sardines and ocean whatever that has been decimated, killed by the test. What do you get? What will your children eat after, let's say 30 years from now? You've tested a nuclear war, underground nuclear test. What will your children eat in the next 30 years? You say you were paid, you have children and what have you. So with that, as I discovered that under these very articles of psychological and physical mutilation of others, information has been used as a weapon. We call it psychological. Psychology means it's information you feed in, either that you see on TV, or that which you hear on radio, or that which you see as motion pictures. Anything that can make your psychological whatever to be either corrupted or whatever. In that sense, there is a psychological weapon. In modern times, we have what we call artificial. It has been always artificial intelligence. They call it artificial intelligence, cyber warfare. But in modern times, kids have computers, have what you call pads. On the pad, a child can go online. Sorry about that. A child can go online, upload anything they want, or download anything they want to watch. In that, many children have become very, very deadly to their own lives. Because if a child was to play a game like the Xbox game or what we call Insurrection, there is a game called Insurrection. It's a game, it's pronounced as a game, but it's cyber warfare, or artificial cyber warfare, whatever, or psychological weapon, which decimates the child's brain. Because we said that if a child is a person's brain stops growing, for a man, it stops around the age of 25 there. Around 25, 20, 24, 25. A human being, his brain kind of slows down growing. In a girl, it kind of around the age of I wouldn't put the age whatever, but women always because they kind of tend to grow to become mature quicker, and their brains, because they have to look after what they store in their when they are being pregnant. So that way, the brain of a woman is very different from the brain of a man. The brain of a woman is very, very different from the brain of a man. So with that, men have been kind of, have become things which are very, very either deadly to themselves and to the rest of society, as well as to the environment. Because in those 11th centuries, men spent most of the time either wandering from one place to the other, looking on ways how to either decimate themselves. That brought on what we call cyber or psychology. That was under the interpretation, in their way of life, interpretation of the psychological mutilation of others, which has meant that many people are in a state that they don't know what is going on this planet. Even when Mother Planet Earth died in 2018, men could not understand that, and they cannot understand that. To them, they just hear that because they don't know. They don't know what is going on. They know. So these are things which have been kind of made to look normal to you. And under the same circumstances, for instance, when in the 80s, I don't know whether it was in the 80s, 90s, there was a man who was taken hostage. A man called, there was a white man, a man was taken hostage, Paul McCarthy. I don't know who Paul McCarthy. There was a man taken hostage in Palestine. And the other one was, there were two men. When you are to ask these men, what would they think every day when they were in a state of captivity? Because when you are in a state of captivity, you see, the state when they call it a kafara. The other one was Terry White. The other man who was a captive in Israel, in Palestine, was Terry White. The other one was Paul McCarthy, I think, one of those two. These men would explain clearly what it is to be a kafara. To be a kafara. And in my African capacity as an African, I was taken as a kafara in Europe. I was in Europe as a kafara. Because when I went to Second World War, when my body changed and I became a black man, when I returned to England, everyone looked at me and they didn't want to know. Whatever ugly they could throw at me, they did. Whatever ugliness that they could throw at me, they did. That way. Allah says, my children, Allah protected me. He gave me protection over the highest order. And when a few whatever after some years, I realized that some of these acts were being perpetrated by people who are shipped from countries like Senegal, countries like Gambia, countries like Guinea-Bissau, countries like Ghana, Nigeria. These were men who they were people of the book. They know how to read the Quran. So these men did all sorts of vulgar, because what they knew is that I was a kafara. Because I just showed you what a psychological weapon or what a physical and psychological weapon can do to a human being. A man who was held captive, I don't know how many years, Terry White and the other one, Paul McCarthy. You don't know whether when you wake up, sometimes you're kept in a state that you don't know whether it's daytime or nighttime. Can you imagine that? So these are a kind of ways men live in your societies today. These are things that are taught in classes, either by so-called masjid, the imam. I wouldn't call the person who interprets religious whatever imam, but these are things which are a kind of in theologies within the societies of men. Whereas in the true religion of Islam, Allah says, men, human beings, you are all living creation, Muslims. If you are to see it under a tree, which is a Muslim living creation, it will give you a shade. It will not take you captive. On top of being sitting under the tree. A mango, if it's a mango tree, a mango, you might see you sit there. While you're sitting there, a fruit could drop from the tree. To say, oh, you're welcome. Assalamu alaikum. You're sitting under this tree. It's the religion Islam. He is a fruit too. You are kind of took whatever to get a shade, a cover from the heat of the sun. He is a fruit too. Eat it and enjoy yourself. That was kind of today, men and women, they live on terrorism. which is under the article of psychological and physical mutilation of others. I will continue on this subject the next time I'm around. Today, I just wanted to show you that indeed what men have conjectured has made this planet uninhabitable. And a planet being uninhabitable, in 2019, the planet Mother Earth herself died, demanding that Allah takes action and either stops life on planet Earth so that nothing can do evil to one another. And the heart of Mother Planet Earth died. So with that, I'll continue this subject. The next time I'm around, I'm always traveling. I'm always traveling. Because I say, I'm always traveling. That's what I can say. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.